The next question, I don't want you to feel like you're being singled out because we've asked all of the candidates this question. But lately it appears that it's a hot button, so hopefully you're ready for it. What circumstances, if any, would prompt you to revisit the fire services delivery decision?
Well, I know right now, I don't know how active you folks are in some of the blogs, but just recently, the last couple of days, I've been, I don't really read them other than the fact people forward them to me, and I've been getting lots of them, the same things over and over again, so I do read them, when they come in, And by the way, it was one of the questions that were on the questionnaire that the fire department provided to the candidate. What would you do? Okay, and I answered. And by the way, two people from they're not here today, but they asked if I would give them copies of this, and I said, and I did. I made copies of what I responded to. I try not to hide my feelings and stuff, and they've got that. I really thought they'd be here today with all my questions or answers, so they could maybe ask questions on it. But my response to that question was, I would be amenable to revisiting that, the current decision. However, I would not, as a city council member, lead the charge on it. I would only do it if there was substantial resident, public push to do so. Because we are a city council, we should be listening to the people. We should listen to all of you folks, and and the other 40,000 people were brave, if they all had something to say. And if there was a movement saying, we need to revisit this, I would say we need to revisit it, but we'd only do so not with the knee-jerk way, but we would look at the current reorganization that is currently in place right now, and say, is this working or is it not working? It's up to us, just because the council voted for it, and the city manager's reorg now, it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to work or successful. And we can't just say, well, it's his job now and forget it. We need to say, we like a status report on it. We should be asking questions as we go, is this working or is not working? And then we got to evaluate their answers to see if these answers are truly representative of what's going on. In other words, in this case, I think we need to take a hard look or listen to our fire personnel too. Do they think it's working? If I only listen to the fire chief, he told me at the last meeting, he wouldn't tell me that an apprentice is less superior. I try to get him to say an apprentice is less than a firefighter, and he wouldn't do that. I tried for 10 minutes, I suppose, and he ignored the question. I don't want that. Let's get the facts and then make a decision. And if the facts lead to that, then we should reevaluate. And I'm not saying we should do it like, let's say we get a new council in November, January we're putting OCFA back on the table. I think that would give the wrong impression, and we're not giving the new reorg a chance. But I think it needs to be evaluated, and if the public wants to take another look at it, we should certainly be amenable.
Great. Thank you. The follow-on question there is, do you believe that police and fire services should be improved? And if so, where would we find them? Where would you suggest we find them? Good stuff.
Do I think police and fire should be improved? Well, I guess, if we could, yes. Wouldn't we all want better police and better fire, but the level that we have right now, is that, it's got to be more than adequate. Usually, I was asked a question, and I suppose it's going to be in the register or Brave Progress. If I felt the services was adequate, I don't like the word adequate because it just merely tells me it barely gets by. And I don't think we want public safety to be adequate. You know, we want it to be better than adequate, but how much better? And a lot of that is a function of dollars. So I certainly don't advocate tax increases, you know, but I certainly advocate taking a good hard look at what we are spending. There are probably ways we can cut overtime. There's got to, you know, there's ways. I came out of aerospace, you know, aerospace is almost like government, you know. There's a lot of, you know, ways you see it, you know. In good times, you put up with it. In bad times, you know, you can find it, you can cut. And again, there's executive salaries, you know, just being more efficient. You know, we could continue the hiring freeze. Maybe we're not at that optimum level of employees. I don't know. Money's always the thing. I believe our police are very well, they're excellent. There are things like crime scene investigations, you know, there's more crime in Brea than, you know, we don't hear all about it. The council doesn't hear about it. But there's a lot of that. We got one crime scene investigator in Brea, and he serves both Brea and Yorba Linda. You know, so he's got a backlog that's humongous, you know. We could add something there, yeah. But basically, our safety, the motor patrol, and, you know, we're good. On the fire, I think we're going to have to take a really hard look at what's going on. I understand that last Saturday, normally we have a 16-man fire, you know, per shift here in town. We had 7 on duty last Saturday because of absence, and we're using fire engine, our second engine at Station 2. We're taking, somebody's called in sick, we're taking a person off that engine to replace that person, say, on Station 3. Well, once you take a person off that engine, you're shutting that engine, okay? And then we send an engine to Santa Ana. I'm not saying this is bad, because there's a memorial down there for firefighters who died, you know, in fighting, you know, in serving their community. We sent an engine down there as part of that service shelter. But once that was down there, we only had 7 people, 7 firefighters here. Well, now nothing happened, but you could have, you know. And so I feel we're right at, I'm not even sure we're at the borderline. We may be below that. I'm talking service level. Service level. Do we, you know, if nothing happened, we're fine. But if the perfect, I always say the perfect storm happened, you know, we might have some real surprises. And that's the thing when I say we need to evaluate this thing and see if it's working. You know, and we're paying for it. You know, the way we're doing it, we're saving overtime money. And so we got to ask that question: is that working, or is the safety working? You know, that is the decision. The city council should answer that. The staff needs to answer. Well, we need the people answer to that too. And like I say, you build staff, it costs you money. And if we do that in this economy, our projected, next year's projected deficit increase.
This one's a little bit more convoluted perhaps, but with regard to your function on council of approving projects and ideas, who is it who should follow up on these approved plans, such as the fire services plan, to make sure that they're working, that the safety of the public is not jeopardized, and that any projected savings are truly realized and benefiting the citizens?
Well, staff should obviously, they should be managing everything that's going on here. But that doesn't relieve the city council. The staff should. Then, you know, you're big on transparency. You know, you want the city to be open with you. You know, and that works. We need that same type of transparency between staff and the city council. Like I said, we're not experts on everything. We don't live down here 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day. You know, I know I'm not down here. I take most of my stuff at home, you know. You can call me at home anytime, you know. But the city council, we haven't heard something. We need to ask the questions too. You know, so we are not relieved of a responsibility because overall we're responsible. You voted for like people to do this. We should be responsive, we should hear, we should respond, we should listen to what's going on, and we should ask these questions. You know, and on small things, you know, there's things we don't even think about. You know, they're just handled and everything's going well, but if we get in that, the city manager's got it all under control, you know, all of a sudden we get a surprise. You know, we'd be aware of that.
We'll title this one "The Lori Started."
Now let me guess the topic.